For most of human history, you had no idea what you looked like. Not really. You might catch a glimpse in a puddle, a blur in a piece of polished metal. Even Helen of Troy, the famous face that launched 1,000 ships, never actually saw her own face. And when humans finally figured out how to see themselves clearly, it didn't just change fashion or makeup, it changed how we think, how we see each other. And it started a war so secretive, the punishment for losing was death. I'm Aiden Thomas of Hidden History, and this is the story of how humanity learned to see themselves. This is the history of the mirror. Try to imagine something. You wake up tomorrow, and every mirror in your house is gone. Your phone screen is matte, every reflective surface erased. Only way to know what you look like is to ask someone. That was a reality for almost all of human history. Before mirrors, identity wasn't about appearance. Historian Ian Mortimer wrote that in the medieval world, who you were was defined by where you lived, who your family was, and what you did, not what you looked like. Banishment, being cast out of your community, was considered one of the most severe punishments imaginable because without your community, you were no one. The concept of individuality as we understand it today, it barely existed. But humans are curious creatures, and even in the ancient world, we couldn't resist trying to see ourselves. The oldest mirrors ever discovered weren't glass, they were volcanic rock. Around 6000 BCE, 8,000 years ago, people in what is now Turkey began polishing pieces of obsidian, volcanic glass. They ground it smooth until it reflected a dark, shadowy image back at them. It wasn't clear, it wasn't sharp, but for the first time in history, a human being could hold something in their hands and see their own face staring back. But here's the thing, they probably weren't checking their hair. In the ancient world, mirrors weren't cosmetic tools, they were spiritual objects, sacred, even dangerous. The ancient Egyptians crafted mirrors from polished bronze and copper as early as 2900 BCE, and they treated them with a kind of reverence we can barely understand today. When a mirror wasn't in use, it was wrapped in cloth, covered, hidden, because the Egyptians believed mirrors were doorways, portals to a parallel self they called the Ka. Looking into a mirror wasn't vanity, it was communication with another dimension. Across the ocean, the Mayans and Aztecs made mirrors from pyrite, fool's gold, and used them in ceremonies to speak with deities. Mirrors were buried with royalty. In the temple of the feathered serpent at Teotihuacan, mirrors were placed on the backs of the dead, like a window the gods could look through. The Inca even wore small concave mirrors on bracelets, not to check the reflection, but to start fires. They were the tools of power. So for thousands of years, mirrors were rare, expensive, and wrapped in mysticism. But then one civilization figured out how to make them with glass, and they guarded the secret so fiercely that betraying it meant death. In the 1200s, the island of Murano, just off the coast of Venice, Italy, became the center of the glass-making world. Venetian artisans had perfected a technique no one else had. coating glass with a tin mercury amalgam to create a mirror that was clearer, brighter, and more reflective than anything the world had ever seen. And Venice intended to keep it that way. The Venetian government forced all glassmakers to relocate to Murano, not as an honor, as a prison. The island was easier to control, easier to watch, and the glassmakers' families, they stayed on the mainland. Think about that for a second. Your family is held as a guarantee of your silence. If a glassmaker tried to leave Murano without permission, his family could be imprisoned. If he tried to share the secrets of Venetian mirror making with a foreign power, the penalty was death. And these weren't empty threats. Venice had assassins. Glass artisans who fled were tracked across Europe. The message was clear. The mirror is ours. Take the secret and we will find you. Now, to be fair, the glassmakers weren't only prisoners, they had privileges. They could carry swords, their daughters could marry into nobility, they were treated as elite craftsmen. That golden cage was still a cage. For over 200 years, Venice held a near total monopoly on quality mirrors, and mirrors became the most expensive luxury items in Europe. A single Venetian mirror could cost more than a painting by a Renaissance master. Royalty displayed them as symbols of ultimate wealth. But monopolies don't last forever, because where there's a secret worth keeping, there's always someone willing to steal it. France's King Louis XIV was obsessed with mirrors, and he was tired of paying Venice for them. So he did what any self-respecting monarch would do. He sent spies. French agents infiltrated Murano, bribed Venetian glassmakers, and smuggled them out of Italy. The stolen craftsmen were brought to a factory in France, Saint-Gobain, which remarkably still operates today. The result? The Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles. 357 mirrors. The single most extravagant display of mirror technology the world had ever seen. It was a statement. France had broken Venice's grip, and the mirror was about to change everything along with it. Now, if you reach this point in the video and you're discovering things you've never heard before, that's the whole point of this channel. The hidden history behind everyday objects. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, back to our story. Here's something most people don't realize about early mirrors. They were toxic, literally. The Venetian method and every mirror making method that followed for centuries used mercury. A tin mercury amalgam was spread across the glass to create a reflective surface. And mercury, as we now know, is one of the most dangerous substances on Earth. The workers who made mirrors breathed mercury vapor every single day. Trembling hands, memory loss, personality changes, madness. The same mercury poisoning that gave us the phrase mad as a hatter, because hat makers used mercury too, was destroying mirror makers across Europe. The object that let humanity see itself clearly was slowly killing the people who made it. And this went on for centuries. Generation after generation of craftsmen poisoned by the very material that made mirrors possible. It wasn't until 1835 that a German chemist named Justus von Liebig found a way out. He developed a process for applying a thin layer of metallic silver to glass instead of mercury. It was safer, it was cheaper, and it produced a better, clearer reflection. Von Liebig's method is essentially the same process we still use today. Every mirror in your bathroom, your car, your hallway, it exists because one chemist replaced poison with silver nearly 200 years ago. And with mirrors suddenly affordable to produce, they stopped being luxury items. For the first time in 8,000 years of trying to see ourselves, it was now available for everyone. This is where the story takes a turn most people don't expect. Because when mirrors became common, something happened to humanity that had nothing to do with glass or chemistry. It was psychological. Before affordable mirrors, people had a vague sense of their own appearance. You might glimpse yourself in water. A wealthy friend might own a small polished metal disc, but you never study your own face the way we do today. And then suddenly, you could. And it rewired how humans think about themselves. Historian Sabine Melchior Bonnet called the mirror the ultimate tool for introspection. Once people could scrutinize their own face, their expressions, their features, how they appeared to others, something shifted. People began to think of themselves as individuals first and members of a community second. The effects rippled through culture. Self-portraiture exploded in the art world. People started recording their exact dates and times of birth, something that barely mattered before. First-person novels emerged. People demanded more privacy, sleeping in separate rooms instead of communal quarters. The mirror didn't just reflect your face, it launched the concept of the individual self. And with that self-awareness came something else, something darker: comparison. For the first time, people could compare their appearance to others in precise detail. Beauty standards, which had always existed in loose cultural forms, suddenly had a method of comparison and a means to improve it. You could see exactly how you measured up. Women practiced their expressions in mirrors, not out of vanity, but survival. In a world where marriage was an economic arrangement, how a man perceived you could determine your entire future. The mirror became a tool for performing identity, not just observing it. Research today shows that people perceived as physically attractive get hired more often, receive higher salaries, and are even found guilty less often in court. That bias isn't new, but the mirror made it visible and made it personal. Oh, and that superstition about breaking a mirror, 7 years of bad luck, that comes from ancient Rome. The Romans believed that a mirror held a piece of your soul. Your reflection was literally you in the spiritual sense. They also believed that life renewed itself every 7 years. So if you shattered a mirror, you shattered a piece of your soul, and it would take a full 7 year cycle to repair the damage. 2,000 years later, we still knock on wood when we drop one. In medieval England, it went even further. People believed the devil himself could watch you from the other side of the glass. Mirrors were associated with witchcraft and the supernatural. Women who wore makeup, often applied using mirrors, were accused of being incarnations of Satan. For a simple piece of reflective glass, mirrors have carried an extraordinary amount of fear. Today, we are surrounded by mirrors in ways no previous generation could have imagined. not just the one in your bathroom, your phone screen, your laptop camera, your Zoom call, storefront windows as you walk past. We see our own reflection dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day. The ancient Egyptians wrapped their mirrors in cloth when they weren't in use, afraid of what might come through. We carry ours in our pockets and stare into them for hours. 8,000 years ago, someone in Turkey polished a piece of volcanic rock and saw a dark, blurry shadow of their own face for the first time. Today, we have filters that can change that face entirely. The mirror started as a portal to the gods. It became a luxury worth killing for, then a poison that destroyed the people who made it, then a revolution in how humans understand themselves. And now, it's something we barely even notice. Maybe that's the most dramatic change of all. The object that transformed human identity became invisible through sheer familiarity. Every invention has a story most people never hear, and sometimes the most powerful inventions are the ones hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching this video on the history of the mirror. If you have a moment, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and comment below on something you found fascinating. Next week's episode will be illuminating. Next week, we present the history of the candle. Until then, take a look around. History is everywhere.